Good morning, guys. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020. We're going to continue with our Count Me In book. Last week we talked about I asked about how do you think this book is going to turn out? How do you think Chris and Karina's friendship is going to change over the book, okay? So we're going to see more into it. I believe chapter 8 and chapter 9, we're going to see more of that. And yeah, so let's continue. Chapter 8. Mr. C is a genius at teaching math. Somehow when he teaches me fractions, they all make sense. It helps that he uses food to get his points across. We pull apart orange section, cut apples, and even make a pie. Fractions with food. That should be a TV show. Fractions with food. Do you remember an activity we made that we used food? Something about lemons and sugar and how much of each, and then you wrote down the procedures that you did. Can you guys remember when we did that? We made lemonade. Mr. C says a lot of people are hands-on learners. That's true for me. And all of a sudden, like magic, I understand how fractions and ratios and percentages relate. Chris, Mr. C tells me, we're making your foundation stronger. Phew, I say, because my building was sure gonna collapse. We're a good team, Mr. C and I. I like making him laugh, and he likes feeding my stomach and my brain. We are taking a break, staring at a computer screen, when a voice behind us asked, "What are you watching?" I jump. It's Karina. I've come over so many times when Karina is never around that I wanted to think about it as Mr. C's house instead of hers. I found a video of the best Lakers players of all time. I say, "You know how your grandpa loves the Lakers." She lifts her eyebrow. You don't say. Duh, I'm telling her stuff about her own grandfather. But Karina's cool about it. She gets a bowl of goldfish and sits down to join us. I never thought Karina Chapra would want to watch a basketball highlight reel. But what do I know? Mr. C can't stop smiling. He's into it like it's a live game at the Staples Center. Ew, Karina says. Those old uniform shorts were as short as Daisy Duke's. They are short shorts for sure, I say. And we all crack up. And we agree the longer shorts look way better. Every few minutes, Mr. C pauses the video because he has a story to tell. Something's about a foul ball. Other times just about a delicious hot dog topped with melty cheese, and once about seeing Magic Johnson score a gazillion points in the game. Mr. C gives me a high five when the video is done. "Chris, you picked a good one." "Thank you," he says. It's like I just given him a present. Anytime, I tell him. I decide I'm going to find more old videos for him. Before I go, Karina surprises me by asking for a favor. A favor? Does that mean they're becoming friends now? Chris, I need help choosing a photo for the tween competition at the gallery. She tells me. I've shown them to a few people, but I could use another opinion. Karina wants my opinion on her photographs. Has the Earth stopped spinning on its axis? Why is Chris surprised? What does he mean by, has the Earth stopped spinning on its axis? What does that tell you about Chris and Karina? Sure, I stammer. I help Mr. C clear the dining room table. When Karina returns, she arranges her photos there. You can look now, she says, when they are all spread out. The theme for the competition is home. Karina has awesome pictures of all kinds of homes, big and small. I zero in one of the turtle in his shells, and another one of a really cool treehouse. Mr. C slowly picks up one after another and stares at each one. Wow, I say, these are great. You took them all with your cell phone? Some, she says, but I have a Canon that my dad lets me borrow. That's my fave. I say finally, point to one of the night sky. If I stare at it, I feel like I'm being sucked into a galaxy far away. But it's cool to be reminded it's our home to our galaxy. Mr. C lifts it up. There is Venus, shining bright, Karina. I like that. I also like the turtle. I love how every detail in his shell is clear. Whatever you choose will be perfect. They're all good. You're saying that because you're my grandfather, she told him. No, I say it because you are good, he says. One day your photographs will be in a gallery, and Chris, one day you will get an A. I like that Mr. C is ambitious for us. It feels good to have him pulling for me and Karina. I just wish we were as confident. Papa, Karina says, remember the cake Grandma used to bake with whipped cream and strawberries on top? When Chris gets an A, can we make that for him? Yes, Mr. C says. I'm sure I can find the recipe in Grandma's old book. I will make one for Chris, and I will make one again for you, Karina, when you achieve your goal. Mr. C leaves, and I help Karina gather her pictures. She keeps the photo of the night sky that I picked on the top of the pile. We both stare at it again. Do you ever wonder if Venus is a home to anyone? She asked. I think it's like 860 degrees up there, I say. Yes, she says. You would have to be a tardigrade or something to live there. I can't believe Karina knows about tardigrades too. Yeah, those creatures can live anywhere, hot or cold. They're so amazing, I say. And this is amazing too, I think. Karina and I bonding over microscopic animals that can live in extreme conditions. Who knew she'd be fascinated by the weird stuff I like? I walk home bouncing my basketball, thinking that it's nice to have neighbors you can talk to about everything from sports stars to actual stars. It's cool to think about stuff bigger than ourselves. Okay. So why do you think he finds it weird that they like the same stuff? How are they different? We know Karina likes school and photograph. But what does Chris like again? Right, sports, right? So it makes sense if Chris liking weird creatures and Karina liking weird creatures is a way that they've bonded. Okay, chapter 9. Now that Papa has found his calling as a math tutor, he is no longer as focused on his to-do list. Papa says he thinks he should have been a math teacher all along, instead of an engineer. The only problem is that I have to hang around after school on tutorials day. I say I will be fine at home alone, but Papa disagrees. He does not want a discussion, so I tag along on Tuesdays and Thursdays, do my homework in the cafeteria, and afterward we take Chris home. It's funny how it took Papa coming to live with us for Chris's family and mine to become friends. So I guess she sees him as a friend now, right? It's hard to remember how we barely used to talk to each other. Thursday afternoon, Chris, Papa, and I are walking to our car together. It's one of those beautiful autumn days when you want to take amazing pictures. The light is warm and golden. And there are a couple trees that are changing colors, which is actually kind of rare in Houston, Texas. We walk across the empty soccer field and out onto the street that runs alongside it. The street where Papa parks when the parking lot is full. I tell Papa I'm hungry, and he hands me the bag of strawberries and blueberries he had brought for us to snack on. I pull out a carton, and Chris, Papa, and I stop in the shade of a large tree and take handfuls. Papa, I say, when you make Grandma's cake for us, will you make sure to put a ton of strawberries on top? Yum, Chris chimes in. I'm going to work hard for that cake. And Karina, that picture you posted yesterday of those geese flying in a V was a winner. I can see it hanging in the gallery now. Thanks, I tell him. I'm glad you liked it. And that you both have such faith in me. I reach for those berries and lick more juice and trickles down my chin. That trickles down my chin. All these berries must remind Papa of a picture book we used to read together, because he says, remember you used to call me your Papa Bear? Chris is grinding wide. Papa Bear, I want to hear. Oh, come on. I was just a baby, I say. Why do you think she says, oh, come on? How would you feel? Maybe she feels embarrassed. 1 berry, 2 berry, pick me a blueberry, Papa recites. I love that book. The rhythm of the chant still gets me. Who cares if Chris hears? Hatberry, shoeberry, in my canoeberry, I say. Under the bridge and over the dam, Papa and I recite together, looking for berries, berries to jam. The innocent rhymes makes the berry sweet taste sweeter. Methberry, cakeberry, I cannot wait berry. I say, improvising now. We're having so much fun that we barely notice the car that crawls by. When the driver slows down next to us, lowers his window. We expect him to ask for directions, but instead, he pulls the car ahead of us and gets out. He surveys the three of us, Chris, Papa, and me. He walks up to Chris. You okay? He asks. Then he reaches over and mooses Chris's hair. It's weird, creepy, the way he touches Chris. Sure, Chris says, ducking away. Why? The man spits on the street. You know this man? Papa asks Chris. No. Chris replies, and we all keep walking. Then the man turns to Papa. You far from home? He asks Papa. No, sir, Papa says. What do you think is happening? What do you think this encounter is going to happen between Papa, Karina, and Chris with this weird man? What do you infer? I clutch Papa's arm. The bag of berries swing between us. The man has now dashed ahead of us and is walking backwards so he can watch us. He is tall, his eyes are blue, and he smells. And he is prancing on his feet like a fighter throwing punches. I think you're very far from home, Sandman. He says, very far. It's that moment when the man turns into a monster. He spits again, this time on Papa's shoes. Despite it being warm out, a chill's going down my spine. Hand me the phones, the man barks. When we don't, he pulls out a knife. He's well within striking distance of Papa. Everything changes. Everything. We toss our phones at him and he hurls them into a bush on the side of the road. We keep walking and the man circles us like a vulture homing in on our carcass. His knife glints in the light. Houses line the street opposite the soccer field, and I see our car at the end of it. But I don't see a soul other than us. I pray that someone will come out with their trash or to walk their dog. I wonder what the man will do if we make a run for it. Now, I reach for Papa's hand and hold it for a lifeline in case that man tries anything. You Arab, he shouts. Dirty trash, Muslims, go home. I glance at Papa's poker face. Chris is now holding Papa's other hand. The man comes close to me. You're angry or something, little doll? Don't touch her. Papa warns, still in his voice. The man shifts his attention to Chris. He is obviously no longer concerned about Chris being safe. You a Muslim lover? He says and pushes Chris down to the pavement. Leave the children alone, Papa says, and steps forward. His tone says he has had enough, but in the face of the threatening knife, this is not much he can do. What will you do if I don't, old man? In sheer desperation, I throw my backpack at the man, hoping that the knife will fall from his hand. It doesn't. He growls and then rushes towards Papa. Karina, Chris, run, Papa yells. Our attacker is not having that. He looks toward me. You move or try anything else, he says, and he is dead. You want that? I shake my head. Chris and I are rooted to the spot. We wouldn't leave Papa anyway. Now he shoves Papa hard. As Papa hits the pavement, it feels like a majestic oak has fallen. The sound of his body hitting the ground makes me sick. I stifle my gasp as a man kicks Papa. I don't even recognize the scream that rips out of me. Okay, so let's stop there. So how do you think Chris feels about this? We know we were reading chapter 9, Karina, right? So this is from her point of view. She's telling this side of the story. But how do you think Chris is feeling right now? Right? Karina and Papa were both, I guess, assaulted, right? Or being discriminated, remember a vocabulary word, for being Arabs. And Chris is just there. How would you feel if you were in Chris's shoes? How would you feel if you were in that situation? I guess it would be, for me, it would be a shock if I was in that age. Sorry. And I saw that happening with someone. Like, why what would a stranger even stop to do this? Right? All right. So since we stopped in chapter 10, I believe. I forgot to put my sticky note. Chapter 10. We'll continue more. But what are some thoughts you have about Papa and Karina being discriminated? How do you think Chris feels about this? What do you infer is going to happen after? Let's hope that nothing bad happens to Papa or Karina, right? We already know that he was pushed down to the floor, but we'll see tomorrow what continues to happen, all right? Okay, guys. So thank you for everyone that's been participating. I have been getting responses from some of you. I wish I would get more, but it's totally fine. I will be adding those Class Dojo points. I'm not sure if I'm being consistent. If I have forgotten about somebody, please let me know on the comments on Class Dojo or on the private messages. Okay, so bye guys.